In 1865, 3 men boarded a reconstructed 17-foot boat and launched into the Southern Ocean, where waves could erase them without a trace. They were not explorers seeking glory, but castaways who had endured 19 months, stranded on a sub-Antarctic island with no hope of rescue. Using only improvised tools and sheer determination, they crafted their means of escape and staked everything on a sliver of land beyond the tempest. Their ordeal began far from the furious Fifties under calmer skies. On December 12, 1863, the schooner Grafton was in Sydney Harbor, loading supplies. This modest 80-ton trading vessel, built for coastal routes, was ill-suited for the Southern Ocean's violence. Her captain, Thomas Musgrove, supervised with the meticulous care of a man who trusted order over luck, a 42-year-old American sailor with over 2 decades at sea. His habits of detailed note-taking and record-keeping would later prove veto first for his crew's sanity, then for history. 4 men sailed with him: Franois Reynaud, a 31-year-old French scientist and engineer with expertise in metallurgy and mechanics; Alexander Alec McLaren, a 35-year-old Scottish mate, steady and practical; George Harris, a 25-year-old Portuguese hunter; and Henry Forges, a 22-year-old Norwegian, mechanically adept but less experienced. It was a small crew for a risky venture, but that had advantages: fewer mouths to feed, fewer egos, and fewer fractures when crisis struck. Their mission was tin-chasing reports of mineral deposits on the remote, storm-lashed Auckland Islands. Such ventures only seem rational when considering how the sea warps judgment, offering distance from ordinary life and its prudent rules. The southward voyage began quietly. By late December, they reached the furious Fifties, where storms are routine and the weather merely rearranges its violence. As the Grafton approached the islands, a gale erupted. Musgrove sought shelter in what is now Carnley Harbor, but the anchor dragged. Through the night of January 3, 1864, the exhausted crew fought a losing battle. At dawn, the schooner struck rocks, with the hull breached. Musgrove ordered abandoned ship. Watching your vessel die is a unique terror ship is shelter, tool, and guarantee against the void. The crew salvaged what they could: the ship's dinghy, a compass, tools, canvas, and scant provisions before the Grafton shattered on the rocks. The Auckland Islands are inhospitable, perpetually wet, cold, and windswept, with dense scrub and treacherous bogs. Rescue was a fantasy. After a miserable first night under canvas, Musgrove imposed a critical choice: passively wait to die or actively build a life until rescue could be made. He established routine discussed decisions, assigned tasks by skill, shared meals, kept a calendar, and maintained cleanliness. These small acts were structural beams against chaos. They found fresh water, timber, and seals, which became their lifeline, providing food, fat, skin, and sinew. Harris led the hunt, and Reynaud saw each seal as a supply depot. Musgrove insisted on a proper house. Using salvaged tools and sheer will, they built a cabin near a stream, naming it Epiguat, a remembered word, meaning refuge. It was dry, and dryness was luxury. Then they built industry. While many castaways cling to bare survival, the Grafton crew manufactured. Reynaud built a crude forge from stone, clay, and sealskin bellows. They repaired tools, forged fasteners, crafted oil lamps, made soap from fat and ash, and tanned sealskins for waterproof clothing. They even made ink for Musgrove's journal. Winter brought storms and deepening darkness, but inside Epiguat Brutia held, they worked, shared meals, and Reynaud gave lessons in mechanics. It was mental maintenance. As months passed with no ship, the unthinkable became necessary. They would leave on their own. Their dinghy was too small for the open ocean. So Reynaud proposed a half-mad, half-brilliant plan to rebuild and extend it to 17 feet. With a makeshift forge, they turned salvaged metal into nails and tools. They cut, extended, and reinforced the hull, caulking seams with a mix of seal fur, fat, and tree resin. A storm nearly ruined months of work, warping the wood. But Mike Laurent's pragmatic response was to begin again. By mid-1865, they finished the boat, naming it Rescue. It was dangerously small, but seaworthy. A grim calculation followed. The boat could not carry all 5 men with necessary supplies. Musgrove would go for his navigation, Reno for his understanding of the boat. Forges as a third hand needed to sail. McLaren and Harris would remain, maintaining Epaguat, until a rescue party returned. On July 19, 1865, after 19 months, they launched. The farewell was quiet, a firm handshake, a weighted look. The first day was merciful, then a gale struck. Musgrove fought the tiller while Raynal and Forges bailed constantly. A massive wave nearly capsized them, but the boat righted itself. The design held. Navigation was guesswork under clouds. Missing their target, Stewart Island, meant open ocean and death. On the 5th day, a break in the clouds revealed land. They made landfall on July 24th, salt stiffened and hollow with fatigue, but alive. With help from local Mbori, Musgrove reached a settlement. His next task was relentless: securing a rescue vessel. The island's fearsome reputation made captains reluctant. After persistent pleading, he secured the schooner Flying Scud and served as pilot. In early September 1865, they sailed south. Musgrove navigated through familiar fog and fury into Carnley Harbor. As they neared Epaguat, 2 figures emerged, running and waving. McLaren and Harris had maintained hope and routine, not knowing if their companions had survived the crossing. The relief was profound, but undramatic, a physical weight lifted. Before departing, Musgrove collected his journal and their handmade tools. The crew of the Flying Scud stared in disbelief at the cabin. Forge and small, functioning world carved from rock and wind. It was proof survival could be engineered, not just endured. Their story spread quickly. Musgrove and Raynal published detailed accounts. Newspapers marveled at the 19-month ordeal, the forged tool shipyard, the 17-foot ocean crossing, and the captain who returned. What sets the Grafton castaways apart is not just survival, but how they survive through structure, shared purpose, and a daily refusal to let despair set the terms. For 19 months, they built a refuge, a workshop, and a boat, then sailed it through the furious 50s. Their legacy is not romantic heroism, but something more: compelling, unwavering competence. Under pressure, reason amid fear, and the stubborn choice to keep building when surrender would have been easier.